I have always worked with wood. My dad had a wood shop, and I've kind of from a very young age used woodworking tools. Probably as a young adult I started getting more into woodworking, and when my son was 10 he wanted a Harry Potter magic wand, and so I thought, that sounds like a fun project. So I picked up a little wood lathe and I made several magic wands, and I got absolutely turned on to wood turning. I'm Tim Kennedy, and today I'm going to turn a spinning top out of this block of wood. Okay, so I have my block of wood that I'm going to use for my spinning top blank. I need to mount this into the 4-jaw chuck. Tighten that down very tight. Okay, I've turned it by hand, made sure that nothing's hitting the tool rest.
Okay, so the first thing I'm doing here is I'm going to round it down to a cylinder by just cutting away all the corners with a series of scooping cuts. Then I will make a couple of these sliding cuts with the edge of my chisel. And I'm moving right into cutting the bottom of the spinning top. A couple aggressive cuts there to remove material, and then now one slow cut to give me a nice clean surface. Just clean up the edge there, and now I am going to move back to the chuck and start working towards the bottom again, making a series of cuts going a little deeper each time. At this point I will start cleaning up the top of the spinning top and making some slower cuts to give myself a clean surface. I get down to a certain point here where I need to remove more material out of my way, and now I am reducing the diameter down to a size that I think looks good. This is the area where the stem or the finial will be. That done, I start removing material away from the stem. Being careful not to remove too much because I need to leave material for support while I'm working out here on the end. Still working a little bit there. Now I am working on the finial. I need to put my fingers out on the end for support to keep it from vibrating. At this point it's getting kind of thin. Making a curve here with the tip of my spindle gouge. Now I want this finial to be a little taller than it is, so I'm removing a little bit more material. Once I get most of this material out of the way, I can make a couple final cuts here to clean up the finial. A little final touch up there, and now I'm ready to part it off from the lathe. And there you have it. I've probably turned about 1,000 or more of these spinning tops. It only takes me about 3.5 minutes to do it.
And that's how it's done. Wood turning has been around in some form for over 2,000 years. I really like to make things with my own hands. Working with wood gives me that opportunity. Part of that process, or one thing that is involved with woodworking in general, but also wood turning, is that you have to make a lot of jigs and fixtures. I get to use some engineering skills to do this because you have to design, an apparatus that's going to hold the wood while it's spinning. I like to embellish my work after I'm done with it on the lathe. Sometimes I'll carve a texture into it. Sometimes I will wood burn some patterns onto it. And so one thing I did was I made my own wood burner, which was kind of a fun electronics project, and then made the pens and everything to go with it. So what we have here is a used computer power supply that I have
open up the case and insert it inside a little circuit called a pulse width modulator circuit, and that is controlled with a potentiometer. And I have a 1/4 inch phone jack that I can plug my wood burning pen into. Let's power this up. This is a high-powered wood burner. It's not going to be real practical for doing scenery of like old country barns and things like that. So this is one piece of a set that is a sculptural piece I do. I made this on the wood lathe. So what I have to do is I have to just start burning and then twist the piece as I go. And as you can see, this takes a very long time.
The process starts by collecting logs. These are trees that have fallen down in a storm, or they've been cut down for maintenance issues, maybe they've overgrown. So these are trees that are being cut down, not for their wood, but to get rid of. So I'm able to capture some of that wood and turn it into something useful. So the process starts by me getting these logs, and then I take my chainsaw and I cut them down into pieces that are small enough that I can handle. And I cut those pieces down further yet on my bandsaw, and I wax the ends so they don't split while they're drying, and I set those to the side to dry. It might take a year, it might take 2 or 3 depending on the size of the blank I've cut. When I'm ready to use that wood, I most likely will need to cut it down even smaller yet into the size of the blank that I need for that project. And so then after I cut it, then all I need to do is put it on the lathe. The process on the lathe is going to differ depending on what I'm making, and basically I'm using steel chisels that I'm holding in my hand and I'm carving away at the wood as it's spinning on the lathe. So this wood has been in a plastic bag for about 11 months, I think. Pretty. I might be simplifying it, but that's basically the gist of it. And when I'm done with the shape, then I'm going to sand it and apply finishes. I consider myself an artist or artisan, not in the sense that I'm a painter. I consider myself an artist in the sense that I am trying to achieve a final result that other people will be drawn to, that other people will find attractive and want to have in their possession. In my work, I like to try to achieve simple forms and clean lines, smooth curves. I like to keep it simple. I have some customers that get really excited when they see some of the things I made at the art shows. They walk past my booth and stop and just go, "Oh my gosh, I love that." That's a really good feeling to me, and probably fuels the fire to keep on going as much as anything else. I think the biggest thing people don't realize about my work is really the amount of time it takes to make a piece. Some of the art pieces I make can take 40, 50, 60, 80 hours to make, and I think it's hard for people to grasp. There are sacrifices that you make to be a woodworker. Most likely, if you're pursuing it as a career, you'll probably never be very well off. I do not get my full income off of woodworking. I get about 15% of my income from woodworking, and the rest I do drafting and design work for architects and engineers. I know woodworkers that have sacrificed a finger or two. I've been pretty lucky there. When I first started woodturning, I had gotten some videos from the public library from a guy in Australia named Richard Raffin, and he's retired now. he has very well developed basic skills for doing a lot of traditional work. I do like to pass on what I know to other people and get other people excited about wood turning. So I teach one-on-one classes to people, and I demonstrate at a local woodworking store, and I also demonstrate at the local wood turning club. You can find my work at timsturnery.com.